Let me bring this closer. See, you're saying your baby daddy tricked you, but if you wouldn't have gave it up. Okay. That's too deep. That's too deep. Pastor, I hooked up with a gold digger, but if you wouldn't have used gold as your target to get her, she could have dug your gold. Come on now. You showed up at the club looking like the $1 million man, all night drinks on you, and then you wonder why she bring you a light bill the next day. Ain't nobody trick you. You tricking yourself, trick daddy. Mm. 21st century preaching. So let's dig into this. How would someone give up their birthright? First of all, let me show you how this looks. Come here, son. I'm daddy. You the biggest, you the oldest. I'm sickly and I'm getting ready to die, and I'm worth millions. So I'll just reduce it to my first million. Now, when I die, my sons get the birthright. They get my millions. Now, just use the analogy of millions. So you would assume each son gets 500,000, half of a million. But the reality of it is, in their custom, the eldest son will get his 500,000. Slide over with your 500,000. Now, the 500,000 that he has, the eldest son, by birthright, gets half of this 500,000. So you got to chuck him off 250,000. So now he has 750,000. You have 250,000, 75%, 25%, but you are so impatient, you would give your 75 cents up and give it to him because you became impatient. He didn't trick you. You tricked yourself. Because if you're going to give it up, I'm going to take it. He didn't wrestle with him. He didn't negotiate with him. He just simply put it out there. Because understand, when he walked in, he smelt the aroma of the stew that'll get you every time. He smelled. Ooh, that smells good. I want some of that. Same thing happened to Eve. Satan said, look over there. Now, Eve had everything in the whole wide world. And the devil said, look over there, that one thing you do not have. And she left everything to chase after that one thing she did not have. So was he really tricked? Or did he play a major role in this process? So he just gave up 75% of his father's wealth. Thank you. So how does this happen? Number one, the spirit of impatience. The spirit of impatience. I declare we shall be healed from the spirit of impatience. Because read the text. Esau was a skilled hunter. He had just come back from hunting, which means he had everything that he needed to make an even better meal, but he was too impatient to use what he had to go to work. Oh, you're not getting this. He was so impatient, even though he possessed everything he needed, his impatience caused him to walk away from what he had, because what he had needed a little work. And if he would have just put a little work in what he had the ability to create was much greater than what Jacob had. Jacob only had some stew, some watered-down stew. Esau had some deer meat. Esau had some wild game. Esau had some turkey. Esau had some chicken. Esau had a delicious meal, but he had to take the time to cook it. And many of us won't cook what we have. We'll rather go and get what. We'll rather go get something watered down because we don't have the patience to do it takes to make a meal out of some real stuff. You leave a good woman that won't give it up overnight and go hook up with a trick. When are you going to realize, church, anything worth having, you got to wait sometimes. The spirit of impatience. Then the spirit of greed. Always wanting what somebody else has. Even if what they have can't measure up to what you have, just because they have it, you gotta have it. The spirit of greed. It's greedy, want everything. Instead of appreciating what God has blessed you with, you're always comparing what you have to what somebody else has. So you're never satisfied. Spirit of greed. Then the spirit of poor thinking. You will be healed from the spirit of poor thinking. You're trading in long-term prosperity for short-term gratification. The spirit of poor decision making. I mean, you have to be crazy. Daddy on his last leg. You know daddy loaded, and you're going to give up 75% of all daddy's wealth to meet a temporary fix? I say, I would never do that. I would never do it. Well, some of the decisions you make to bring you instant gratification, you're putting your whole future. How often have you made a decision to satisfy the now, and you put everything in the future on the line? Ain't no sex in here that good where I'm going to jeopardize all the years of working on my integrity and character. You can smell like Halle Berry. You can drop it like, what's that old... the one say, walk through the club, don't give a... It's like playing Russian roulette with your future. Okay, well, that's too graphic. Okay, you get an email, they having a sale at the mall, and you clock at lunch, and you tell your girlfriend to clock back in for you because the line long. Yet you making $80,000 a year, and you're going to jeopardize your job for a 75% discount on something you got the money to pay for anyhow. That's poor thinking. And you will be healed from the spirit of poor thinking. Watch this, watch this. I was thinking about something. And I used to be in the sales industry before I started full-time pastoring. And the last job I had was at this car dealership. We became the #1 dealership in Texas. And with no experience, I got the spirit of persuasion. I became the #1 sales with the #1 dealership in the state of Texas. I taught the veterans a trick. I said, let me teach y'all something, how to really close the deal. I said, well, you don't know about closing no deal. I said, let me teach you something. On Friday night, when they come in, don't ever close the deal. I said, what you mean? I said, what you do. You give them the keys on Friday night. Or you give them the keys on Saturday morning. They're going to leave the dealership and go show everybody their new car. And then you got them. Because when they come back in on Monday and everybody with a new car going to church on Sunday, because they're going to tell everybody, look what the Lord blessed me with. And when they show up on Monday, you can raise the down payment, you can raise the bottom line, and whatever you say, the spirit of greed, the spirit of impatience, and the spirit of poor thinking is going to get them, and they will give you whatever you want on Monday morning. Just trust me. And deal after deal after deal. You go, I ain't really got it, but I showed Big Mama this car, so I got to leave with this car. See, I know you do sign right here. And that same spirit has been dogging out people. Because instead of you saying, no, that's not best for me. That's not a blessing. But you're so concerned about what other people are going to think about you, you will mortgage your future to impress people who laughing at you anyhow. So did Jacob trick Esau out of his birthright, or did Esau trick himself out of what God had in store for Esau? And many of you right now are in financial decay because you tricked yourself by being impatient and greedy. And you made decisions based on what people would think about you instead of what God had for you. Let's keep reading. Go to the 27th chapter of Genesis. 27th chapter of Genesis. Let's run down to verse number 41. So we see now Esau was not tricked out of his birthright. He gave it up. You run around mad at folks who you gave the keys to. They couldn't have kept the car if you wouldn't have gave them the keys to the car. He came again, took everything out of the house. Well, he wasn't your husband. Why he had keys to your house? You met at the club Friday night. You leave with your little girl on Monday morning, and you wonder why you end up in. Okay, you're mad now. Let me go back to reading the Bible. Genesis chapter 27. Look at verse number 41. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him, and Esau determined in his heart, the days of mourning for my father approaching, then I will kill my brother Jacob. If you're taking notes, write this down. Before you embark on a journey of revenge, make sure you dig 2 graves. Whenever you go out to get revenge, make sure you dig 2 graves, because both will be needed. Because you're going to end up in one of them. Let's just break down this dialogue that took place right here in the 41st verse. First, we see Esau was filled with a grudge. When you are filled or overcome with a grudge, it hurts you more than a person you're trying to get revenge against. Understand something. Jacob had moved on. He gone on down the road, getting married and all kind of stuff, and you stuck back with a grudge. You mad. You mad. That man done got married 2 times and you still mad. Everything she tricked you out of, she lost and you still mad. She moved on to her next conqueror and you still back there mad, stuck. You can't have any satisfying relationships because you're holding a grudge on the relationship you had in 1980-something. How many failed relationships are you going to have on account of what she did to you in the 12th grade? And you realize whenever you hold a grudge, you remove the presence of God. Because the Bible says God cannot bless you if you're holding a grudge against your brother.